Talk to me about the Norfolk Group, and also maybe you can comment on the latest thing from the WHO, which is this pandemic preparedness treaty. I've had various people on recently that have kind of explained that they're already trying to kind of proactively and maybe preemptively capture the sovereignty of a bunch of nations so they can already pre-agree that they're going to follow WHO policy across the board for the upcoming next pandemic. It's a little concerning to see some of this video. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so the Norfolk Group document was a document that I wrote with 7 other epidemiologists, including Martin Kulldorff, epidemiologists, and other folks, scientists. And the idea of the Norfolk Group was there's going to be inquiries into the COVID response. You already have one in the UK, this COVID inquiry. And the idea of these COVID inquiries will be to assess what worked and what didn't work. What we wanted to do is set an agenda for these groups. Like, what questions should these COVID inquiry commissions actually be asking? What would an honest COVID commission look like? And it's 10 sections, 80 pages of questions, right? So, like, what evidence was there that masks on children would work? What evidence about the lockdowns? What did people consider the governments consider the harms of the lockdowns? They're scientific questions, actually, primarily. And any honest COVID commission would answer these. Well, we have like in addition to the text, we have like hundreds of references to scientific journal articles. It's a blueprint for a COVID commission. Our hope in writing it, this was in 2022, was to I was aware at the time of some other COVID commissions that were essentially whitewashes. Like, there was one put out by Phil Zeliko's group called the COVID War or something, which is a whitewash. It's like the premise is, how come we didn't lock down early enough? And I saw Matt Hancock testified to the COVID Commission in the UK, where essentially that seems to be the tenor of his questions. The questions to him was like, why you locked down in March? How come you didn't lock down in December 2019 or something? I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. The disease has already spread so widely by then. It's seeded everywhere that no early lockdown means what? Like, beginning of March 2020, that wouldn't have helped. The same path would have followed ultimately. So the premise is wrong. So the goal of this Norfolk Group document is to set the premise for to ask questions where even the premise itself behind the strategy is questioned, not just the strategy, the ultimate outcomes of strategy. I think I still hold out some hope that governments will embrace it, although it may take a decade now. It won't have. I don't think the UK. I think is supposed to get done in 2026 with its inquiry. To me, that's actually the right way to apologize for the if the public health establishment has lost the trust of the public, it's completely failed. And the way you apologize as an institution isn't just to have one person come out and say, I'm sorry, although that would help, if some of the leaders would. The way you do that is you hold an honest inquiry. So when a plane crashes, you do a study of what caused the plane to crash, an honest assessment. You're not trying to point fingers, really, primarily. What you're primarily trying to do is trying to figure out what went wrong and fix it, get reforms for next time. That's the goal of the Norfolk document.
Yeah, well, like you said, there's I don't know the exact acronym for the agency that when any plane anywhere in the world goes down, they go in and they do a thorough investigation and they find out what happened. And it's always marked the advancement of safety in plane travel. And it's one of the reasons it's still one of the most safest things you can do is travel on a plane. When the Challenger blew up, you and I both remember that. It was devastating, right? There was a teacher, Kristen McAuliffe, and we all watched it, and it was just absolutely devastating. But after 12 months or 18 months, we realized it was the O-ring, right? It was the O-ring, and they found the specific thing that caused it. And for what I know, it's probably never going to happen again. Even when Kennedy was assassinated, I mean, you can argue the Warren Commission was a whitewash, but that's a whole nother story. We can ask Robert Kennedy about that. But at least there was an effort to uncover and go through all of the details. And that's the way we've always advanced. And yet there seems to be no evidence that that's going to happen anywhere when it came to this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take a new generation of leaders, Brian, because this generation of leaders has too much to lose from an honest inquiry. Actually, I think the UK is supposed to have its final report in 2026. When I first heard that I was like, well, why are they taking so long? Actually, that's actually wise in one sense. Like you kind of need to have some distance, I think, to have a new set of people. Because any honest inquiry it shouldn't be the purpose of it, but it will end up reducing the it'll hurt the reputations of some of the scientific leaders, many of the political leaders. It absolutely will. And they're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that the inquiry comes out to the wrong conclusion. And so maybe it will take some time. To get back to the WHO treaty, this is actually tied up with it. So if you are of the mind and you're saying, okay, what failed? And you think the lockdowns, the only reason they didn't work is because we didn't lock down hard enough. We didn't coordinate enough. Okay, I've been emphasizing that the international seeding of the disease in March of 2020, or before that, long before March of 2020. Well, one way to think about that is, well, what if we had all together as a whole world locked down at once? Wouldn't the disease have gone away? That's the premise of this WHO pandemic treaty. It's coordination so that we can have one action everywhere all at once around the world. The problem with that premise is that it doesn't understand why the lockdowns failed. And the reason has to do not with lack of coordination, although that's maybe a necessary condition. It's not sufficient. What you need is a radically equal society where everyone has equal capacity to lock down for months on end without facing harm. A society that will never exist on the face of the earth ever, and that has never existed nor will ever exist. Lockdowns fail because of inequality. Lockdowns fail because there are people who are in jobs, who are in economic situations, life situations where lockdown is impossible, where lockdown means death. And what that means then is that we won't. If you ask people to lock down, they're going to be, and it's not a matter of blame. It's just a fact, right? So if you ask most of the world's population to lock down, they're not going to do it, because otherwise, if they do it in the way that these people are envisioning, the scientists that are pushing this treaty are envisioning, it would mean death for them. Of course, they're not going to do it. They're going to go work so that they can feed their kids. They're going to, the London taxi drivers are not going to just stay at home without any income, right? They're going to work, and they're going to do the things that humans do. They're going to even the people who push the lockdowns. They violated it over and over again in 2020. Neil Ferguson very famously in spring of 2020 violates it with a tryst. Boris Johnson has his party. You have, like in the U.S. and in the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has this like shindig at this fancy restaurant, French Laundry. I mean, Debbie Birx, who's the White House task force coordinator for President Trump, who pushed the lockdowns everywhere. She goes and takes care of her family, of her lonely parents in Thanksgiving 2020 in November. These are human things. Those human things are what caused the failure of the lockdowns. This treaty is not in any way going to make the world safer. In fact, what it's going to do is going to allow the possibility that the world together can launch itself into this inhuman policy with much less pushback than there would exist if individual governments had more autonomy and power.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline. I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?